This course video will demonstrate the ventromedial, dorsolateral, and distraction manipulations for the rib. Setup for the first demonstration is for treatment of a rib subluxed posterior laterally. The manipulation will take the rib ventromedial on the right. This is set up with stabilization of the right rib on the thumb, and the manipulation force is through the body to force the fixed rib into a ventromedial direction. This video will pick up a little bit into the demonstration.
Okay, now I'm going to have him turn his head away as we go in. So short breath in, long breath out. Okay, so that was biased. You could tell that's biased way medial, isn't it? Okay, so that's the costovertebral for anterior medial. Okay, expiration. Flip your other side just so I do something else.
What's the head turning away? What's the significance of?
Well,
Just not having your face?
no. It's not, but I don't want to go into that if that's okay. It'll make it more confusing at the moment, I think. I think right before lunch we're going to really, it's going to get bad. Okay. Okay, so now we want to do the posterior lateral manips. Bend your knee up. Okay, I'm going to rotate him or side bend him towards me. And this one, I'm actually not going to be on the rib. Okay, I'm going to be on the transverse process, on the rib of the rib that I want, and the rib on the opposite side. And as I come over, the moment is to let this one come posterior lateral. So it's with this right side bending I'm getting it. I'm going to flex him up and I'm going to come over. Okay? Big breath. And out. Okay. So I'm forcing it through the shoulder girdle on this side to go posterior lateral. So I'm not on the rib. So now we're not pushing the rib anterior, we're pushing the rib posterior lateral by the force through the arms. Does that make sense? Not on the rib. That's very different than the other one we did.
Can I see that one more time, if you don't mind?
Okay.
Just since I don't.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other one too?
And by the way, the reason, these are actually advanced techniques, and that's what Dave and I were discussing, should go into the advanced techniques. These are the ones these are the complicated thoracics right here. This is what they need. They will not manipulate at the costotransverse joint. So you need these. And if you miss this, you miss that 30% of your most difficult patients. So that's why start now. Jim will review it as you go along anyway. But you can see it's not that much different. So this one, posterior lateral, we are going to, it's going to be on the left. We want to improve posterior lateral on the left. It doesn't matter. We'll just, I don't know which one I just did. We'll try to pick a different one. I don't know how many times we can manipulate his whole body, but I picked him because he's young. Okay, I'm going to side bend him towards me. Okay? And so I'm side bending to pull that posterior lateral. I'm going to bring him over. I'm going to stay on the spine, the transverse process. So let's say I'm doing T5. I'm going to be on the transverse process of T5 and the rib of T5 on the right. And it's the left rib I want to come back and over. So as I come over, I'm going to maintain that flexion, and I'm not going to go over very far. Can you see that? So I'm still in relative right side bend, right rotation. Okay, this is how I got him. So you cannot roll all the way over. This is 3/4 roll. So he's here, and my force is going to be on the left side to bring that rib posterior lateral. Does that make sense? I don't think I'll whack.
Your clear eminence is on the
Transverse process.
Of the left side.
On the left side. So I'm off of the rib. Okay, so it's an indirect technique off the rib. So the only way to manipulate the rib is actually through this shoulder. So we're going down through the shoulder laterally. Okay, and I won't manipulate him again because we've done a bunch, but it's here, flex up, and if I was to do it, it'd be that, right, that.
So
you're
yeah,
holding the,
that's it.
so you're holding the transverse process in place while you're pushing the rib posterior lateral with your body
Yes, I'm fixing the transverse process and the opposite rib.
and opposite.
So I got half of the ring fixated,
Okay. So
and I'm through the shoulder girdle, moving that rib posterior lateral. Okay. Okay.
Very good.
This next demonstration will show alternative setups for the rib distraction manipulation that was taught in the thoracic course. As stated in the video, this next technique is your go-to technique for treatment of rib subluxations in the clinic.
Rib and this as a transverse process. And you can still use that pistol grip like this if you like. It's a little harder on the ribs to do it that way. I mean, it's not gentle on the ribs. Okay, so the nip we're going to do right now is we're going to do a gapping of the costotransverse joint. And that will solve 90-some% of all your costotransverse joint dysfunctions. Scoot towards me. Push your arms across your chest, bend your knee up. All over. Okay. So there's the spinous process. There's the transverse process. That's the joint I want to manipulate right there. So I'm going to use this on the transverse process on the right, the left side. I'm going to use this on the rib right here for me. Okay, I'm just going to show you like that. So that's one way. So my thenar eminence is on the rib. We come over press. Any problems with that? Good, relax. Now before I go, my other way to do it is I'm going to stay on the same side. There's the rib. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lay my thumb along the rib. My tip of my thumb is at the end of the transverse process. And I'm going to roll over. Okay, no problem. I would say try one of those two for today. Okay. This is just a gapping manip of the costotransverse joint. Okay?
So that would help with either hypermobility in the anterior medial quad or the posterior lateral wall?
Yep. So it's a distraction manip. The gap manip is a distraction manip, so it will help with either. And it is the go-to manip. You know, we can do anything we want in academia, but it's the go-to manip. You manip this one all the time, right? So it's the gapping. You don't try to worry too much about the other. You know that which direction it is, and you need that for some other stuff, but not for the manipulation. And I'm not going to manipulate this because I think it can be